Why did an era of peace following the end of the Second World War turn into a period of tension and rivalry? A conflict that threatened to engulf the world in a nuclear holocaust. Welcome to the intricate labyrinth of the Cold War. In the aftermath of the Second World War, two superpowers emerged, the United States and the Soviet Union, each representing a starkly different ideological, political, and economic system. The United States, leading the Western Bloc, championed capitalism and liberal democracy. The Soviet Union, on the other hand, led the Eastern Bloc with its command economy and communist ideology. As the dust of the Second World War settled, the initial warmth between these allies chilled into a standoff. This deep freeze began with the Truman Doctrine in 1947, a policy that pledged support for countries threatened by Soviet communism. This marked the start of the Cold War, a conflict not fought on battlefields but in the minds and hearts of people worldwide. The 1950s and 1960s saw the height of this conflict as both superpowers engaged in an arms race, amassing nuclear weapons that could obliterate humanity several times over. This period was also marked by the space race, a technological competition that saw mankind reach the moon. Yet, beneath the surface, cracks began to appear in the Eastern Bloc. The Sino-Soviet split in 1961 marked the beginning of a gradual thaw in the Cold War. China, once a staunch ally of the Soviet Union, distanced itself, creating a rift in the communist world. The Cold War was not merely a conflict between two superpowers. It was a global struggle, with each superpower extending its influence to all corners of the world. The United States supported anti-communist and right-wing dictatorships, while the Soviet Union funded left-wing parties, revolutions, and dictatorships. The decolonization period from 1945 to 1960 further complicated this picture, as newly independent nations became battlefields in this ideological conflict. However, all conflicts must eventually end. The Cold War finally concluded with the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991. The ideological struggle that had divided the world for nearly half a century had come to an end. In summary, the Cold War, starting with the Truman Doctrine in 1947, was a period of immense tension and rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was a conflict fought not on battlefields, but through ideological, economic, and political means. The conflict saw its height in the 1950s and 1960s with the arms race and the space race. However, the Sino-Soviet split in 1961 marked the beginning of the end of the Cold War, which eventually concluded with the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. The Cold War was not merely a conflict between two superpowers, but a global struggle that involved nations worldwide. The Cold War was a complex and multi-layered conflict, but its legacy continues to shape the world we live in today. As we journey through history, let us remember the lessons of the Cold War, a conflict that threatened to destroy humanity, yet ultimately led to